Hello and welcome to the MoneySavingExpert.com video guide to reclaiming your bank charges. Why am I doing this? Well, we've had the article on the site for a long time, but I know sometimes it's easier to understand things when they're explained to you, so I'm going to do that. But please don't just listen to this. Use the article, MoneySavingExpert.com/bank charges. You can join the over 1 million template letters that have now been downloaded and get your money back from the banks. Simple as that. Right, let me take you through it. Let's start with what the law behind all this is. It's pretty simple. Under British contract law, you can't charge someone a penalty. So, if you break the rules, all you're actually allowed to do is charge the person who broke the rules the amount of money that it actually costs you. It has to be in proportion. And this is where the banks are doing something unlawful. Because when you go over your overdraft limit, or you bounce a cheque or direct debit, or when it's with credit cards as well, you have a late payment and they fine you, you can't have a fine. So we have to ask the question, how much does it actually cost the banks when you go over your overdraft limit? Well, they charge you 35 quid, but what do? Well, they send you an automatic letter, which is with a frank stamp on top of it. That's pretty much it. They may just do a credit check the first time. So their cost may be £1, £2. It's been estimated by banking professors £4.50. Certainly not 35 quid. And that's the essence of this whole thing. They've been charging you too much. Under English law, you can get 6 years of charges back, England and Wales. Scottish law, 5 years of charges back. They've been charging too much. You want your cash back. That's it. Let me tell you how to do it, because the most important thing about this isn't the law, it's about the practical process. You're about to enter into a negotiation with your bank in which you're going to use the threat or the actuality of court action to get money back. Step 1. Open up a parachute bank account. Why? Because some banks are using dodgy tactics. What they're doing with some customers is saying, okay, here you go, you can have your money, but get lost. We're closing your bank account. And that is, of course, worrying. If you don't have a bank account, you're financially disenfranchised from the banking system. You don't want that. So simply set up another bank account somewhere else that you can move to before you start in case it happens. But more importantly, if it does happen, don't let them get away with it. As well as doing this, if they close your account down, go to the financial ombudsman, who recently ruled against Alliance and Leicester and gave somebody compensation when they did just that. And you can find full details about the best bank account and the different options, of course, on the article on the site. Step 2. Find out how much you've actually been charged. Sounds easy, doesn't it? But do you have 6 years of bank statements? Probably not. And remember, we're not just talking about your current bank. Even if your account has been closed or you close the account in the last 6 years, you can reclaim charges from them too. And it applies to credit cards. Now, if you don't have your details, maybe you have an online bank where you can find the details, you have a legal right to the information. You simply write to them under the Data Protection Act requesting details of all the penalty charges they've levied on you in the last 6 years in England and Wales and 5 years in Scotland. It's as simple as that. I'm afraid this is the only time you're really going to have to pay out. You have to send them a tenner with it, because you have to send the tenner as part of the Data Protection Act. The template letter for doing it's on the site. Get on with it, and then you'll know how much. You'll probably be quite surprised. You might think this may be hundreds, but most people are finding it goes up in the high hundreds or even thousands of pounds, with the biggest win reclaimed so far, £17,900. My answer would be yes. If you go through to the court stage, and we hope you don't have to, the courts will award you statutory interest of 8%. So why not ask them for the interest at this point? They'll say to you, and many people will tell you, well, you're not entitled to that interest unless you win in court. But the whole point about this is it's a negotiation. So you're now asking them for 1,200 quid back plus interest. And they may come back to you and say, well, we're not paying you the interest, we're just going to give you your 1,200 quid back. If that happens, fantastic. This is all about pushing them to give you your cash as easily as possible and letting them know that if they don't, the outcome could be severe. It's all about effectively haggling and negotiation. So if you want to, you can ask them for interest. There's a calculator to work it out for you on the website. Go ahead, give it a go. Step 3. Write them a letter saying you want your money back. Well, this is where it all begins. You write them the letter saying, I believe the amount that you have charged me has been unlawful and I would like my cash back. You post it, and guess what? almost undoubtedly you'll get a letter back saying, no, you're not getting your cash back. We believe our charges are fair. If you have a problem, we'll go through our complaints procedure, go to the financial ombudsman. They will try anything they can do to put you off the scent. Don't listen to them. You've written them the first letter. They've said no. Quickly move on to step 4. Threaten to take them to court. At this point you've been rejected, but don't let them off. Now you send another letter, again all drafted for you, which simply says, I requested that you give me my bank charges back. You haven't, so I'm writing to notify you that I will be taking you to the small claims court within the next 2 weeks unless you give me a refund of my charges. Now at this point, a lot of banks pay out, especially if you're asking for under £1,000. This is actually what happens. They pay out even though you haven't gone to court. It's as simple as that, because that threat of court action is not something that they want. Now, what may happen here is they may say, you're asking for £1,500, we're going to give you £1,000. So people always say to me, well, should I accept the £1,000? I don't know what to do. My answer is, well, I could say to you, go for it. This is all about a consumer revolution, which of course it is, to take on the banks. But you have to look at your own finances, what's important to you. If that £1,000 would get you out of debt trouble instantly and you don't have to fight anymore, then maybe the best thing for you is taking the money. So don't feel too principled about this. Look at what's actually right for you. The likelihood is if you fight on, you'll get all the cash, but there are no guarantees in this whole thing. The fact nobody has ever failed yet doesn't mean you can't be the first, although I hope it won't be. It's doubtful, but there's always a risk, and I think you need to understand that. Okay, now I'm hoping you haven't got to this point, but if you have, you're going to have to take the bank to court. Now that might sound incredibly scary. You're imagining judges in wigs sitting there. But it doesn't work like that at all. What you're actually going to do is you're simply going to go onto a page on the internet. If you're in England and Wales, it's money claim, slightly different rules for Northern Ireland and Scotland. And you're going to take a template that's on this website, my website, and you're just going to put that template into the internet form, and that's it. That is going to court because it is the small claims systems internet site where you're going to make your claim. Now you put that claim in on money claim. Remember, small claim system in England is £5,000 or less. You put that claim into the internet and then you wait for 14 days. If within that 14 days the bank acknowledges your claim, you're going to carry on. If it doesn't acknowledge your claim, and it's very common, and acknowledgement is a technical thing, you've won. After 14 days, you've won by default. Even if the bank does acknowledge your claim, all that does is buy them another 14 days. After that, if they haven't put in a defence, again, you've won by default. The money is yours. That's it. And in the vast majority of cases, it seems, that's what happens. You simply win by default. They don't even argue. You put the case into court and you've got your money. Now, if they do put in a defence, I know that sounds incredibly scary and I know it scares a lot of people, but that's the point. They're not putting in an argument. They're not saying why they're defending. All the bank is actually saying is we intend to defend this in court, which means they're allocated a court date. And what does that do? It scares the pants off you. And that's the intention. Because pretty soon after that, it's very likely you'll get a letter or a phone call saying, you want £4,500, we're going to offer you £4,000 or we're going to court. They want you to settle. It's a negotiation ploy. This is all about the flick-flack of negotiation. But actually, you don't have to settle, though you may want to, as we discussed before. You may carry on and push it. We still haven't heard of banks actually appearing in court apart from for a couple of technicalities. If you push it, the likelihood is they won't appear in court. So much so, we've actually got judges complaining that the banks are wasting the court process. All in all, again, this means they will pay out. You've won. You've won, you've won, you've won. You've got a court order, but the bank hasn't given you your money. It doesn't happen very often, but it does happen occasionally. What can you do if the bank isn't paying up? Simple. Send in the bailiffs. It really is as simple as that. That's the final option. If you have to, you send in the bailiffs. Now, you may be sitting there going, is this fair? Is this right? Well, actually, look, the one thing to remember about this whole process, when you have a dispute with a company like British Gas, it has to send you a bill. You can decide whether you pay it or not, or whether it has to take you to court. When you have an argument with your bank and it wants to charge you an unlawful fee, It doesn't send you a bill. It takes the money without your permission. We need to stand up to our banks. I've given you a short briefing on what you need to do. I hope it makes it simpler and you realise it's not a scary process. As I said before, over 1 million templates have now been downloaded in the first 3 months from the website showing you how to do this. Hundreds of thousands of people have succeeded. The banks are hemorrhaging money. It's time to take them on. Go to the article, print out the template letters. Remember, it's moneysavingexpert.com/bank charges. And the one final thing I'd say, in there you'll see an email sign-up box to get my free weekly email. No advertising, don't worry about that. We're in an ever-changing situation. The banks may think of a way to get people back. When I hear anything that changes the strategy you need for taking on your bank, I put it in that email. So please put your email address in that email box and you'll get the email and you'll find out what's going on. Good luck, take them on. I hope you win. Fingers crossed. I'm Martin Lewis. Bye-bye.